You want to know who I am? Folks call me the Bone Man, ain't my real name, but it's the one that stuck. I've been listening to music a long time, long enough to know songs carry things in them that don't belong to the living. Regret secrets, the kind of memory that don't wash off even when the tide comes in. Now every so often a song gets itself tangled up in a story. Not a true story exactly, but a story folks believe anyway. You've probably heard this one. They say a man watched somebody drown, stood there on the shore and never lifted a hand. They say a singer saw it happen. They say he wrote a song about it. And years later he found the man again, invited him to a concert, and sang the whole thing while a spotlight burned down on his face. Phil Collins always said that story ain't true. Says the song came from a broken marriage and a long night of anger. But legends got a funny habit. Sometimes they grow where the truth leaves an empty place. And sometimes the water remembers. Tonight on Requiem Radio, The Drowning Witness.
The place, a sleepy coastal town in Essex. Two boys, Danny Moffat and Charlie Knox, best friends since childhood. They worked the docks, pulled pranks, got into minor trouble. Nothing serious. Until one summer night, when Charlie went missing. His body was found the next morning, face down in the shallow waters near the old wharf, fully clothed. No signs of a struggle. The coroner called it an accident, a tragic case of nighttime swimming gone wrong, but Danny didn't even speak at the funeral. In fact, he didn't speak much at all after that. Within weeks he'd moved away, changed his name, vanished. Years passed, and then Phil Collins released the song, In the Air Tonight. One night, in a Brighton pub, a man calling himself Dan Mercer heard the song on a jukebox. People around him said he froze, went pale. He stood up, left his pint half full and walked out into the rain. He wasn't seen again until the concert. Phil Collins was on tour in 1982, one night only in London. Dan Mercer was there, front row ticket. Witnesses say he was trembling, eyes locked on the stage like he was facing judgment. And when the song began, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. A spotlight fell, not on the band, not on the crowd, but on Dan, just Dan. Phil Collins didn't acknowledge it, didn't even look his way. But Dan stood up and screamed, loud, broken, like something had snapped inside him. I didn't mean to. I didn't know he was out there. The crowd went silent. Security rushed in. And then the smell hit them. Salt water. So strong it burned the nose. Dan's clothes were soaked through, but there had been no rain that night. Some swear they saw a figure in the aisle behind him, a young man, drenched, pale, staring. It was Charlie. Dan disappeared from the venue, but the next morning he was found in a Brighton hotel, face down in the bathtub, dry on the outside, but his lungs were full of salt water. No leak. No evidence of drowning, no logical explanation. The official cause of death was unexplained asphyxia. But here's the most chilling part. No footage exists from that concert. Not from the venue, not from fans, not even from Phil Collins' team. It's like the whole night was scrubbed clean. Some say the legend's just a story, but some claim late at night If you play in the air tonight, in a dark room, you might smell the ocean. And just when that famous drum fill kicks in, you can hear the whisper of a boy who never made it back to shore.
You've been listening to Requiem Radio, where music bleeds into the supernatural. And that was The Drowning Witness. Funny thing about songs. A melody can travel anywhere, radio waves, cassette tape, streaming servers. But a story travels in whispers. And that one about Phil Collins and the drowning man, it's been floating around for more than 40 years now. Passed from one late night conversation to the next. Maybe it's just an urban legend, maybe the song really is just about heartbreak. But if you ever hear those drums kick in while you're alone, and the room smells a little like salt water, you might wonder if somebody out there is still waiting for help that never came. Ain't gonna be no mo tonight. Y'all rest easy, and don't let the dark drive you home.